Hey everybody. Okay, I created this little video so that I could go through the ins and outs of the MyFitnessPal app. I want this to be as simple as possible, and there's some things in here that can be kind of confusing. So I want to clarify it all for you and go over basically what I use in the app, what you don't need to use, and just ways to make it as simple as possible. So first off, I want to talk about how to change your macronutrients. So when we're working together, or if you're using macronutrients off a website, whatever it may be, you can change them in the MyFitnessPal app. When you download this app and you create a profile, it's going to ask you your age, your height, and all that jazz. And then it's going to populate you a calorie and macro numbers. Now, these numbers are not something that are exact for you per se, and they can be changed. So to change them, so if we're working together, I'm going to be providing you macro and calorie numbers, and they could change weekly, depending on our process and what path we're taking. So in order to change them, you're going to go to your mine is this 3 lines up in the top left. On an iPhone, it might look a little bit different. I think it might be along the bottom. I'm not sure, but you need this screen here. So then you're going to go to the one that says nutrition. Okay. This is going to show your nutrients and your macros. This is where you will see your goal with the percentages that you are supposed to be hitting with your protein, carbs, and fats. And this will see kind of where you're at for each day. So to change your numbers, you need to go to macros and then see here where it says goal, and these numbers are highlighted in blue. You're going to click that number. Now on an iPhone, I think you have to I think when you click that number, it takes you to another page, and then there should be more blue numbers that you'll click. Just make sure you're clicking blue, and then it should eventually get you to this calorie and macro goal page. So this is where you'll change your total number here. And then once you change that, you can adjust your percentages to equal whatever percentages I'm providing you with on your document. And make sure your total numbers at the top here, your carbs, protein, and fat, add up and say the same thing that the document says that I've sent you. Okay. So then once you back out, it should save those. And then that's how you can change it each week when needed. Now let's talk about the diary. So diary, let's talk about adding food. So the awesome thing about the MyFitnessPal app is it saves the things that you use frequently. Okay. So if you have eggs a lot, so let's go to add food for breakfast. So me, every single day, I have my salted caramel protein in my coffee. So I've scanned it before. So I've used this little barcode scanner. So it's right beside the search food right here, that little barcode top right. This is your best friend. This is going to scan any labels that you can scan. Now, I highly suggest scanning whatever possible because it is going to be the most accurate when adding things to your diary. So when you have to search for stuff, you need to be super, super careful because people can create foods, which I will show you after, and then this will make more sense. But so say you're searching for something, I want to add in, let's say raw ground, ground beef. Okay. So see this list? It is like forever because there are so many there's going to be different brands. There's going to be people created foods and entered it in here, not saying what they created is right? So you have to be smart when choosing your option. And then the nice thing about when you do choose something, the thing that you usually choose is usually stays to the top. So raw ground beef. So there's going to be some fat in your ground beef. There's going to be some protein. There shouldn't be any carbs. So if you think about this one here. So it says there's 100 grams and it says there's 241 calories. So 24 grams of protein, 15 grams of fat. So I would do the equation. So 24 times 4 is basically, we'll just say it's 100. So that's 100 calories. So there's 4 calories per gram for protein, 4 calories per gram for carbs. So that's 0. So it's 0. And there's 9 calories per gram for fat. So if we did the division, so we're at 100 calories already, and then 15 times 9, so 135. Okay, so that's pretty damn close. So 135 plus the 100 for protein, so 235. So I would say that one is bang on. So that is one you want to use. And that's something that you would use most of the time when you're selecting raw ground beef. It makes sense, right? And really, we don't know how much fat, like you could choose the lean ground beef one, but that one has less protein in it, which just seems kind of funny. It shouldn't be less protein, right? There should be at least, for a benchmark to look towards, per 100 grams of meat, there should be at least 24 to 30 grams, depending on which meat source. There should be at least 24 to 30 grams of protein in it. So your top choice right there is pretty much bang on. So stuff like that. So you just have to be careful. And then if you're creating a recipe let's talk about adding in. So if you're having just chicken, it's cooked, you have to be specific, okay? If you're having chicken, rice, and beans, cooked chicken. If you are weighing it cooked, you have to type in cooked chicken, because if it's cooked over raw, they're going to weigh different, right? You're cooking all that liquid out of it, so it's going to have a different weight to it. So you have to be super specific with your wording. Most of the time, if you're having chicken, rice, and beans, you're going to weigh it cooked. You're not going to weigh it raw and then cook it and then put it on your plate. You're going to cook a bunch of it, and then you're going to weigh it and put it on your plate. The only time that you'd really have raw chicken to search for is if you're creating a recipe. And then at that point, you would be entering your raw chicken and then all of your other ingredients, and then you divvy it out after that, right? So just be specific with your wording when you are searching for stuff. Now, let's talk about creating a recipe. So recipes, meals, and foods. This is something else that you're going to do lots of. I have tons of recipes created throughout the years. I've been tracking for years, right? So all of these recipes start adding up, which is awesome, because then the next time you go to use it, it's all saved. So for example, this week I had 1 pot burrito bowls. So this is my recipe. So when I first created this, I searched for ground beef, and it would have been raw when I would have made it in my recipe. So raw ground beef, salsa, chicken, stock, onion. So again, you're searching for that. Taco mix, kidney beans, scanning the barcodes of all the stuff that I possibly can, and entering it all in here. Okay, so I've created this recipe, and then now when it tells me at the top here what macronutrients and how many total calories are in each dish. So if I created this recipe, then at this point it was 1 pot. So everything was in 1 pot. I would have divvied it out into 10 servings. So when I divvy it out into servings, what I personally do, so there's 2 ways to do it. So especially a recipe like this, that's all in 1 bowl. So you can either put a large bowl on the scale, zero it out, and then put all of the stuff from this pot that I just cooked into this dish and get the total weight of it. So say it weighs 2,000 grams. Okay. Now, knowing I'm having 10 dishes of this, I have to divvy it out into 10 dishes of 200 grams. Okay. So that's one way to do it. I personally, I put my 10 dishes out. I take my spoon, I kind of guess, and I put in like 175 grams into each dish. And then if I have some left, then I'll divvy it out some more. Kind of, I guess, the longer way to do it. But then you're not dirtying a large dish. I don't know, whatever you decide. But that is how I do it. But you can do it either way. And that's going to make it separate into those 10 dishes evenly, knowing that you have 512 calories and all those macronutrients in each dish. Okay? So what I do when I create a recipe, I never choose add from the web. I always enter ingredients manually. I just have never done the add from the web option. Personally, I prefer to do the enter ingredients manually, because the add from the web one, well, what if it is using different ingredients than what I'm going to use? Then I got to change it anyways, right? So I'm going to create a name. So say 1 pot burrito bowls, whatever. my servings. So how many dishes am I going to be separating this into? And I always do 10 because I make for me and my husband, or I make family friendly meals. So I'm going to make a whole bunch and separate it all, not caring exactly how many calories are in it for the kids. I mean, maybe they'll eat a dish and a half, right? It doesn't matter, but I need to know what's in it for me. And then I always do bulk import ingredients. So I then just press next, and then it's going to say there's no ingredients, add ingredients. So ground beef, for example, we'll do raw ground. Oh my gosh, I can't spell raw ground beef. Okay, so I always pick that one that made the most sense because it comes up first. That's the one I always pick. And so say my recipe is going to have 900 grams in it. Okay, so check mark. Now it's going to tell me. So far I have 217 calories in each serving. Okay, so I would add the rest of my ingredients here. It would all be listed. Then I would go next. It's going to tell me what's in it for nutritional value, and I would save it at that point. Okay, so that's how you create a recipe. Yes, it's time consuming when you first create it, but then it is saved forever. You can use it again, and it is just going to be as accurate as possible when it comes to what is in each meal that you're making. Yeah, you have to weigh everything. You have to be like, if you're putting peppers in it, you got to weigh out the peppers. Like, yeah, it is tedious, but honestly, it becomes second nature eventually. I promise. Creating meals. So this is really just, so like the one day I had a bacon and egg. So in my FitnessPal for breakfast, I entered in an English muffin, and then I entered in an egg, then I entered in cheese, bacon. So I just created this a meal after. And how you do that is in diary. So let's just go over to one of the days I have my food in. So these 3 little dots right here, that's what you would touch, and you would put save meal. So if this is just something that you know that you're going to have again, instead of entering everything in individually, you would just save the meal. You could name it. So save meal, you'd name it. So this week I had boiled eggs and toast. And then it would populate everything in there for you. Oopsies, I don't want to save this. So say here, so add food, you could go to meal, and you could find the one that says, I think I have one that says boiled eggs and toast, right? And then everything's there. So then you're not entering everything in individually. Okay. Now let's talk about creating a food. So this is when the only time that I create a food, honestly, is when I'm having a drink. Okay. You cannot scan the barcodes of your drinks. The only thing that you will not be able to scan is cocktails. Okay. So those Bud Light seltzers or, whatever those like low cal drinks are, Michelob's, whatever it may be, it will tell you the calorie content on it, but it doesn't have any macronutrients on it. So if you scan the label on a Bud Light seltzer, all it's going to do is take from your total calories. So it's going to remove 80 calories and no macronutrients. So then at the end of the day, you're going to be short calories and over macronutrients because you didn't even it out. So you need to create a food when it comes to alcohol. So if you're having vodka, if you're having rye, if you're having whatever it is, you need to Google what, say, an ounce of vodka is for calories, find out how much it is for calories, and then you need to create food. Okay, so for me, let's say Michelob, create a food. I haven't created that yet. So Mick beer. Now, so Michelob beer has 100 calories in it, I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. I have one. So yes, so no, I lied. 90. So I'm going to spell the whole thing. Michelob beer. So 1 serving. And whatever, it's just a cup. This really doesn't matter. We just need to get to the next page. So Michelob beer, next. Okay, so this is what we need now. We need this nutritional facts. So 90 calories. And then at this point, you need to decide whether you're taking it from your carbs, or fat. You never, ever take it from protein, okay? You need your protein. Protein is very important. It needs to be 8. You cannot sub drinks in for your protein. So if you're taking it from fat, you would divide it by 9, right? Like I had told you before, there's 9 calories per gram for fat. So at this point, you'd put 10 grams. If you're taking it from carbs, then you would do the math for that. 90 divided by 4. And then you take it from carbs instead. So only one or the other. I mean, you could do half and half, but that just confuses things. I usually take it from carbs. So I would go 90 divided by 4. And then I would put in the number there. And then you would save it. So 90 divided by 4. So 22.5 carbs. So next, nothing else needs to be finished here. It's going to give you some stupid, your diary is more accurate when you add nutrient details. Yeah, we know, but that's all we need. Okay, so Michelob beer is now added in there. So it's going to take 90 calories and it's going to take 22.5 grams of carbs for me. Okay, so that is alcohol. Same with wine. If you're having a glass of wine, you need to figure out how many calories are in that glass of wine, the kind that you're drinking. If it doesn't say it on the bar or on the label, then you got to Google it. And then you got to weigh it, and then you have to divide either carbs or fat into that total calorie number so that you are taking from not just your calories, but from your macronutrients. Okay? You will never, ever enter an exercise. So if we're working together, the calories that I am providing you there's exercise included. Exercise is included in it. So do not ever enter an exercise because then that's going to give you more calories and kind of skew the numbers. So never enter an exercise. Don't worry about entering in water because we're going to talk about it, water, making sure telling you how important it is to enter it in. So don't worry about that. Now, what I personally do when I am planning my week, I eat the same thing for 5 days. So I'm not saying everybody can do that. That just is easier for me and my life. So I will pre-enter. So as you can see here, on Friday, I pre-entered everything that I was going to eat for the entire week. So Monday to Friday, and then I track Saturday, Sunday, just individually those days. We eat different things. I just track it per day. But during Monday to Friday, I don't have time to go into MyFitnessPal and enter what I just ate and check and see what I have left and then personally be stressed because I have this much protein left and no carbs. And I just find that super, super stressful. So I sit down and I pre-plan my week. So I will sit. So this week I was really craving one pot burrito bowls. And honestly, it's a super easy meal. And I was at the lake all weekend. So I knew I wasn't going to have a whole time to prep. So I entered in my one pot burrito bowls and I knew I wanted some multigrain rounds to dip in it. And then I entered in my breakfast because again, I needed something simple. So I did boiled eggs with toast. I always have protein blended in my coffee. It is heaven. And that's a good way to get in 30 grams of protein right there, right? Or 27 grams of protein. So I have that every single morning. It makes me happy. It's like a mocha. And then from there, I'd look. So I entered in my supper and my breakfast. And then I'd go in here and I'd look. So I only hang out on this nutrients page. I never look at this macro page. I find it super confusing when it comes to like the total percentages. Like, yeah, it tells me where I'm at for my carbs and fat and protein, but what's my goal? Like, I don't want to just be looking at the percent goal. I want the number goal. So I always stay on this nutrients page. So my protein goal was 166. Yeah, went over quite a bit. But whatever, just don't look at that. Oh no. Sorry, that was weird. And then, so same thing. So then I'll look, okay, carbs. So carbs, pretty flippin' awesome. 265, I did 263. Fat, I was a little bit over 2. But anyways, that's what I look at for my goal. So it tells me my goal. It tells me where I'm at right now. So when I entered my one pot burrito bowls and my breakfast, I'd look at this. Okay, so I'm super low in carbs or I'm low in fat. It gives me a better idea of what I can choose for lunch. So then I'm like, okay, I should probably have something with chicken because I need a little bit less fat. So then I picked chicken burrito or tacos for supper. And I always have my favorite smoothie, so I enter that in. Now, if you're craving like a little bit of a snack, like I really like to have mini Reese's Pieces. I didn't this week because I ended up having one of my favorite granola bars instead. My my homemade ones. But that's when you would enter in a little snack. So I'd enter in my supper, I'd enter in my little snack that I know that I want, I'd enter in my smoothie my favorite smoothie that I know I want, stuff like that. So you can kind of play around with it. And then you'd go check out your nutrition. Okay, so, oh man, now I'm way over in my protein. I got to take something out or, adjust from there. So you kind of got to play with it. It's like, I compare it to Tetris. It's trying to fit things in and without going over on other things. Like, it's all about the balancing act, okay? So that is how I plan out my week. I eat that for 5 days. That's my choice. Even if you could do 3 days, right? Our metabolisms thrive off consistency. It's so, so, so important. So trying to just be consistent. If you can be consistent and track day by day, great. I just cannot stand going into the MyFitnessPal every single day and entering it in and just being stressed. I find the only reason I go into the MyFitnessPal throughout the week is just to remind myself what I was having for snacks. That's it. So that's what works for me. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I will stop there. If you have any other questions, let me know. You can message me and we can go from there. All right. Thanks, everybody.